Hey, Internet. How you doing, Internet? I can tell you, coming into this fall season, the wind is going to be the bane of my reviewing existence. I tell you, I got to sit here and wait to hopefully get the right wind now that the fall's rolling in. But what do we got here in this little package today? We've got, we got a really nice bag. Really nice suede material. I wasn't expecting this kind of quality bag from the spinner that I got. You buy a $40 spinner on Etsy, you don't expect this giant, nice bag. Now, it's obviously much larger than it needs to be for the spinner, but look at this. It's got some decent, looks like some sort of waxed canvas strings, some sort of wax shoelace style or something like that. Really nice soft texture. In it, we get a little designed in USA, Gadget Addix. We get a little warranty card of authenticity, whatever you want to call it, and like a little cloth to wipe it down. So that's neat. Again, really good presentation, more than I was expecting. I like this pouch. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. But let's look at the spinner, you say. Yes, let's look at this. So again, this is a $40 spinner on Etsy. I've seen it kind of floating around, and I decided to pull the trigger on it. So she's a beauty. She's a looker for 40 bucks. So let's take a look. Now, when you look at it on their website, it's all looks really nice and polished up, and they got good photos going. So if you look closely at the photos, you can see some of the issues that I'm going to point out here. But nothing, I think for 40 bucks, I can do a little of the finishing myself and then save some money. So if it was fully finished and polished and they took that kind of effort into it, it'd probably drive the price up to 80, 100 bucks, because it looks like it'll need a little bit of love and attention to get it really finished. So if you look, essentially what it looks like, excuse me, is, some sort of like little brass, almost like stubby looking style plug, and then this really big resin piece, some sort of resin, plastic, epoxy business sandwiched on a piece of brass. But you can see some of like the glue marks or glue pieces, probably where some of that squeezed out, and it's pretty flush, so that will need to get sanded off. If you look on some of the inside edges, hopefully the wind doesn't pick up here, y'all, sorry. Some of the edges in here you can kind of just see it's not like super smooth, but it's nothing too terrible, but just these little things here and there. So it feels like a cheaper spinner, but it is a pretty cheap spinner for what you're getting. I really like these little mosaic style pins. I think is probably the best way to describe them. You see them a lot on custom knives as like little mosaic pins. So essentially it's probably like a stainless steel tube on the outside, and then 4 little stainless steel brass tubes, and then 5 little copper tubes or something along those lines. So I don't know what the actual material is, but then you just sand it off and it makes a cool looking little pin. So they've got those on it. I haven't come anywhere near trying to take this apart, so I imagine they would probably go all the way through. They line it up, they finish sanding everything down. I imagine that's the scenario here, but let's get under the hood. So what kind of bearing she got? Come on, there we go. She's rocking a 688 hybrid. So we got some nylon races there. You can see those little black balls. It also comes with a bearing removal tool. This is a little wider than your standard R1E88, so the bearing tools you have might not work, but it's good. It comes with one. So, and it was really cranked on there tight, let me tell you, boy. Getting it off and checking it out. But I believe that's a 688. Again, it's got the bigger center. It's a little smaller than a 608. And it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like an 11 ball. R188. So it spins nice. It's got a nice little characteristic. It's pretty brushy is how I feel like I would describe it. I'm gonna get nice, really thick, dedicated screws. That's why it torques on there really well. So brushy is kind of how I would describe this. It kind of has like a wispy, kind of like feels like a little bit of resistance on the bearings, a little, maybe even scratchy is the right word, but it doesn't feel, not in like a bad way. It spins pretty smooth. So let's spin it. How's it spin? Ooh, look at her go. Spins pretty good. Now, spin time wise, it's a larger bearing. It's hybrid ceramic. I haven't tried to clean it or anything like that yet. I've spun it a bit, probably to break it in a little bit, but we're getting 2 minutes and 15 seconds on a table spin, and just under 3.5 minutes on a vertical spin. So nothing crazy spin time wise. Now, if you want, and I think this is one that definitely warrants it, when I looked at that balls out spinner the other day that has a 608 that I don't think I would recommend like changing or putting a core in, but heading over to Fidget HQ, Neospin. They make a 606 and a 688 as on top of a 608 bearing adapter. I believe the 688 and 606 606 definitely is. We'll see that in an upcoming review. Is essentially just like a press fit or glue. So you just kind of glue it into the bearing retainer. But I don't know 100% about the 688 if that's the case. But it spins pretty nice. It flicks really well. It is pretty big. You want to know how big it is? Might not be doing it justice. Let's take out our Carver's Customs pouch. Carver's Customs on Facebook, y'all. Ooh, polished stubby. So look at the size here. So she's pretty big, you know. Sorry, we got the sun coming. Let's see those cracking buttons. So again, she's a beast, right? She's all kinds of bigger than this thing. So just to give you a size comparison. So. And it feels big, but, you know, that resin isn't that heavy. It's not as heavy as a lot of the materials we're used to using, at least around here. We're mainly stainless steel and brass around here, and tungsten, I should say. Can you see that? The little controls are really covering that up, but it's 85.5. The video controls, I should say, are covering that, so. And I'm not about to stop recording, and I didn't feel like moving my camera, but I think you can see it, 85.5. So it doesn't feel that heavy, I think mainly because of its size. It's got some good generous cutouts here, some good scoops, really good for pulling and preloaded pulls. I'm finding especially it's just like really satisfying with this guy. I will say I'm not sure what mix they use in this resin. On this side, it's got a little bit of a white. I don't think, especially if that gets polished up, that will be a problem. But the way it is now, with a little bit of the scuffing, I think it's I don't think it looks as clean as it looks with this like little blue marble finish. I should say they also make it in a green, and I think they call this, they've got a couple different ones on their Etsy site, a 2-bladed 60, and then they've got a 2-bladed 70, which is almost looks more like a sort of similar style to like the Invictus, where it kind of comes down to a point here as opposed to swells out. So it's almost like the opposite, where it again cuts right in, 2 little arrowheads or something like that. So but she spins and she fidgets nice. So for her size, it doesn't feel like it's that heavy. You really can get good flicks on it. You can get good pulls, and it's got, can you hear that sound? It's got kind of like a wispy, brushy sound. It's not super quiet, but it doesn't sound scratchy or abrasive or anything weird like that. It's just got a nice, gentle feedback, and I think that's something that is really nice with this guy with the bearing that's in it. It's a feedback you don't get with a 6.8 with an R188 bearing. So balance is pretty good too, so it's off a little bit, but it's off in a weird way in terms of where the balance is placed. So you see that, like it really wants to flip over, but then watch where it stops. Ready? And then it just kind of stops there in like this weird corner. So I don't know if it has to do with these pins, you know. So when you hold it this way, it just drops just a little, but when you hold it this way, she wants to swing way over. Go ahead, baby. Oh, I didn't touch it. Might have looked like I did in the camera, but maybe the shadow will give it away that I didn't touch it. Who knows? But again, just kind of like, it just stops there. So it's a weird, the balance, it seems like it's in a weird spot. If it was this far over, it should pull this arm down. But if it's this far in, it seems weird that the balance and the weight would be that far off, that close to center, where it would throw it off. But in your hand, it doesn't really feel too bad. We got a little bit of a wobble going on there combined with some of my hand shaking, so, but you can see it just a little bit. Some of that shaking right there is the wobble of this guy, but it doesn't feel bad. And again, with the bearing, with the wispiness, with the brushiness, it actually feels pretty good. So for 40 bucks, I think she's a steal. I'm not disappointed at all that I got it. I think, you know, if I was expecting it to be as polished as it looked on the website, which I kind of was, you know, that's a little bit of a disappointment. Here comes the wind. And yeah, it's a little big smooth arm, so this style fidgeting, again, you guys know I don't really like that and don't play around with that much, but it really doesn't work for that all that well. It's just a little too big and smooth. I think with my fingers and bigger, longer hands, I can get away with it a little bit, but it's not really satisfying. This is where it's really satisfying. This is definitely like a preloaded monster. You can flick it, you can do these kind of things because it's far enough out there, and it's light enough in terms of the size to weight ratio, right? It's not that dense, that it's not a problem getting out there and getting those big flicks, but it's good. And you know, this is also one of the ones that you know, impressed some people. I got some people that work next to me, saw this guy, and were like, ooh. So this is, you know, get it on the cheap, let somebody have something. You don't have to worry about them dropping it or banging it around. 40 bucks these days, you know, for us higher end collectors isn't really that big of a deal. And it's also maybe a little weekend project. Sand it down, polish it up, make her look pretty, make her look shiny. I've never really worked on polishing resin, but I can't imagine it's anything but easier than doing the metals. It's got to be a little softer, and we're working with the really fine grits. It should still smooth right out. I don't know what kind of shine we'll get, but we should definitely be able to remove some of these little things right there by my thumb. So yes, Gadget Addix 2-bladed 60 gets the approval. Again, wish it was a little better finish, but yeah, what can we do? So all right, y'all, I think that's it. I'm out. Kisses.